A big welcome to Panjim by Night. IFFI at 53 is in top gear now, and Goa's capital is abuzz with tourists and delegates who are thoroughly enjoying the films and the entertainment being dished out at the festival. Cinema gives us a chance to see different facets of life, some of which we may not even be aware of. Let's catch up with Runa Agarwal, who got to know about the work being done for gentle giants in the beautiful state of Assam.
Hathi Bandhu Assam is a non-profit organization working for elephants and in love with elephants. And yesterday at IFFI, in the Indian Panorama section under the non-feature film category, a film by the same name was screened, Hathi Bandhu. We are in conversation today with the director of the film.
Namaste, मैं Kripal Kalita. I'm from Assam. I'm the director of the documentary Hathi Bandhu.
Can you tell us why you made the film?
जो हाथी बंधु ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है वो अभी असम में देखिए 6000 जैसा हाथी है, लेकिन एक हाथी के लिए आपको 150 किलोग्राम आपको फूड चाहिए और 50 लीटर जैसा वाटर चाहिए। लेकिन अभी असम का जो हाथी रहने के लिए 6000 हाथी रहने के लिए जो हैबिटेट चाहिए वो काफ़ी नहीं है, अभी टूट गया। इस वजह से क्या हुआ, और हाथी और आदमी के बीच में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो गया, और आज 5 साल हो गया। वो 5 साल में उसका रिज़ल्ट आया है कि अभी जो जहाँ ये एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट है नौगांव बोल के, और एक कार्बी आंगलोंग डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, और अभी हाल ही में नुमलीगढ़ बोल के एक जगह है, वहाँ में ये पूरा प्लांटेशन किया है हाथी के लिए, बनाना ट्रीज़, बूम ग्रास और एलिफेंट एप्पल और पेडी भी लगाया। और ये लगा के क्या हुआ, अभी आदमी और हाथी का बीच में जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट था बहुत कम हो गया। एक्चुअली हमारा ये जो डॉक्यूमेंट्री है उसी सब्जेक्ट से हमने बनाया है। हाँ,
आपकी फिल्म यहाँ पर कल स्क्रीन हुई थी, स्क्रीनिंग का एक्सपीरियंस कैसा था और कहाँ पे फिल्म स्क्रीन हुई है?
एक्चुअली ये फिल्म जब 2021 दिसंबर में एक सेंसर हो गया, इसके बाद हमने फेस्टिवल भेजा, और हमको बहुत खुशी है कि मीफ में, मुंबई इंटरनेशनल फिल्म फेस्टिवल, जो वहाँ में इंटरनेशनल कैटेगरी में उसका ये कंपटीशन सेक्शन में पहले आ गया। हाँ, इसके बाद लंदन इंडियन फिल्म फेस्टिवल में गया, और रशियन काजान इंटरनेशनल फिल्म फेस्टिवल में गया। अभी IDSFF के जो केरला में होता है, बहुत प्रेस्टिजियस फेस्टिवल है, वहाँ में गया। और सबसे खुशी की बात ये है कि यहाँ में IFFI में हमको दोबारा आने का मौका मिला।
हाथी बंधु के बाद आपके दिमाग में कोई नेक्स्ट प्रोजेक्ट का प्लान है?
हाँ, एक्चुअली ये हाथी बंधु का अभी काम जारी है, उसका जो सेकंड वर्जन हम अभी बनाएंगे। अभी शूटिंग वगैरह हो गया, बाकी पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन और बाकी काम बाकी है। और हमारा एक फीचर फिल्म है जो हम मई या जून में हम स्टार्ट करेंगे, ऐसा प्लान है।
Well, we wish you all the very best with the journey for Hathi Bandhu as well. May the film go far and may it do really well. And more than that, may it bring an awareness to viewers of how we need to live in love with nature and in confluence with nature to improve lives of all creatures that exist on the planet.
The halfway mark of the 53rd International Film Festival of India being held in Goa, and the mid-fest film at this edition of IFFI was Fixation. Elroy Fernandez tells us more about the film that premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival this year.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 53rd edition of the International Film Festival of India being held out here in Goa. Every year, the film festival brings to us movies from across the globe, and one such film is How to Blow Up Her Pipeline, and I have the director of the film with me. So, could you tell us a little bit more about this film, which has been adapted from a book, which is a non-fiction book?
Yeah, so the book that the movie is adapted from is also called How to Blow Up a Pipeline, and it talks about, a history of social justice movements, essentially, from, Indian independence, the fall of apartheid, civil rights in the United States, that each one of these movements has essentially used property destruction and sabotage as a cornerstone of its tactics. It then goes on to kind of explore the existential threat that climate change poses to every living thing on Earth, and essentially creates a rhetorical framework to essentially question whether or not there is a moral justification for the destruction of fossil fuel infrastructure to try to, move to a more sustainable way of living. And so the book itself is quite a radical text, and what we were interested in doing is taking this, very radical argument and seeing what would happen if we dramatized it, into a film and into a genre movie, a thriller. So we would kind of see this question of sabotage through the eyes of characters, and in this way you kind of, you understand the whys of why somebody might go do something like this, but then also to some extent the consequences on a personal and a social level of action like this. So, I think that the argument itself presented in the book is extremely compelling, and one that we really wanted to wrestle with in the course of making this film.
Climate change is a topic which has been spoken about by world leaders as well as people on the ground level, right? So what is your opinion that films can help in making a change to climate awareness?
Yeah, I think that there's sometimes a kind of a tendency to mistake movies for reality, or a movie that is about something political as a replacement for actual political action. I think that what films do is they create a cultural context for the world that we live in, especially with a world that, as ours is so hypermediated, where I think so many people, experience the world outside of their immediate experience through their phone, through television. I think that films, create culture, and that culture creates conversation and dialogue, and that is what leads to action. And so I think that for a film like this, it's predominantly about trying to create a cultural conversation around this question of what tactics are going to be necessary to force a move away from oil to a different way of living. And I think that specifically from an American perspective, it's a very American film. I think that, our country is absolutely capable of moving to a green energy infrastructure. And, we are not experiencing the effects of climate change immediately. To some extent we are in the States, but not to the same level of extremity as you see in other parts of the world. And so I think that, from an American perspective, I think it's really about trying to create a cultural context of, really trying to force a confrontation of what kind of tactics will be necessary to force us to do better.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We wish you all the very best for your film, and hopefully we get lots more movies, a lot more films from you talking about climate change in the future.
Thank you very much.
Priti Soiru unravels the place that many call the jewel of India. And after that, she also enjoys the sights of Goa's folk music.
नमस्कार 53व्या इफीत गोंयांत प्रितीचो तुमकां दूरदर्शन तर्फे येवकार आनी गोंयांत इफीक 53व्या इफीत जायतीं फिल्मां दाखयतात तातूंतलो एक भाग आसा मणिपुरी सिनेमांतलो मणिपुरी सिनेमाक ह्या वर्सा 50 वर्सां पुराय जाता आनी ते लोक आपली गोल्डन जुबली मनयतात खरेंच ओनू पयलेच फावट हो मणिपुरी सिनेमा हांगा शामील केल्लो आसा आनी मणिपुरी सिनेमा इंडस्ट्रीक ही खूब अभिमानाची गजाल आसा ओनू मणिपुरी सिनेमांत 5 फिचर फिल्मां आनी 5 नॉन फिचर फिल्मां दाखयतले पूण सांगपाची गजाल ही म्हटल्यार मणिपुरी सिनेमा 9 एप्रील 1972 सालांत फर्स्ट फिचर फिल्म तांच्यांनी काडले ते म्हणल्यार मातंगी मणिपूर डिरेक्टर बाय देव कुमार भोज हांचें हें फिल्म ताज्या उपरांत मणिपुरी लोकांनी इतली खोशी जाली आनी तांणी मनयलो आपलो दीस 9 एप्रील आनी ते सेलेब्रेट करता मनी नुमीत म्हणून म्हणजे बर्थ ऑफ मणिपुरी सिनेमा तर मोगा इश्टानो आमकां आतां आयकूंक मेळटल्यो दिसल्यो आनी पळोवपाक मेळटल्यो जायती ही फिचर फिल्मां ह्या 53व्या इफीत. आनी एक सांगपाची गजाल म्हळ्यार इफीत तेंच्यांनी आपले पोस्टर मणिपूर सिनेमाचो जो पोस्टर जो दाखयला ताका पळोवनूच आमकां कळटा की त्या मणिपुरीचे लोकांचें जीवन कशें आशिल्लें, तेंचे मूळ कल्चर कसो आशिल्लो. तर आमी पळोवया ह्या 5 मणिपुरा फिल्मां खंयची ती. मणिपुरी सिनेमा अंतर्गत आमकां 5 फिचर फिल्मां आनी 5 नॉन फिचर फिल्मां दाखयतले. तर हितून फर्स्ट ओपनिंग फिल्म आसतलें तें म्हळ्यार ईशा, डिरेक्टर बाय हरिबंश श्याम शर्मा. ताज्या उपरांत मतंगी मणिपूर, डिरेक्टर बाय देव कुमार भोस. हें तांचें फिचर फिल्म जें आसा, फिल्म एकदम फेमस आसा. ताज्या उपरांत अशीच आनिकूय 3 फिल्मां आसतलीं आनी उपरांत नॉन फिचर फिल्मांत आमकां पळोवपाक मेळटलें इली सामगी महा, म्हणजे ही मणिपुरी फिल्मांतली द बेस्ट फिल्म आशिल्ली. ताज्या उपरांत लूक ॲट द स्काय, द सायलंट पोएट, द रतन थियाम, द मॅन ऑफ थिएटर, डिरेक्टर बाय ओके नमनचाम आनी टेंटेड मायनर. ही अशी फिल्मां आसा जी आमकां ह्या इफी महोत्सवांत 53व्या इफी महोत्सवांत पळोवंक मेळटली. जेन्ना तेंच्या डायरेक्टरा वांगडा उलयलें तेन्ना आमकां कळ्ळें की तेंचें एक सपन जें आशिल्लें तें पुराय जालें, म्हणजे मणिपुरी सपन की तेंचें एक कल्चर आमी ह्या इफीत तांकां दाखोवपाक मेळ्ळो, म्हणजे तेंच्या फोर फादर्स तेंच्या जाणट्यांची सपनां पुराय जालीं अशें ते म्हणटात. तर मोगा इश्टानो, आनंद घेया ह्या मणिपुरी फिल्माचो 53व्या इफीत गोंयांत. नमस्कार. 53व्या इफीत गोंयची कला पळोवप मेळप म्हणजे एक दुदान साकर. आतां एक ल्हानशी झलक आमी मोरुल्या ह्या डान्साची पळोवया हांगा ह्या क्षणाक इफीत गोंयांत.
असो वंचो मोरुलो वनफळा खाय, असो वंचो मोरुलो वनफळा खाय, असो वंचो मोरुलो वनफळा खाय, असे वनफळा खाय मोरा पाणी असे जाय, असे वनफळा खाय मोरा पाणी असे, असे मोरास चढल्यो फासे रे मोरीन खद खद हस गाज, असे मोरास चढल्यो रडियो रे मोरीन हव्यो गाय गाज, असे निशिदिनी राणी वाणी नाच रे मोरा, असे निशिदिनी राणी वाणी नाच रे मोरा, असे वंचो मोरुलो वनफळा खाय, असे वंचो मोरुलो वनफळा खाय. ओय
म्हजें नांव युवराज नायक. आमी लोकरंग कुडचडे ह्या पंगडांतल्यान हांगा आमी मोरुलो सादर करपाक आयले. मोरुलो हो खरें म्हटल्यार बिचोलिया गांवचो. आमी तांकां फॉलो करून आमी हो डान्स आत्मसात केला, हो आमी परफॉर्म करपाचो यत्न करता. खरें म्हटल्यार येदे व्हडल्या पावण्यार आमकां हांगा परफॉर्म करपाक मेळप म्हळ्यार खूब उमेदीची गजाल. आनी गोंयची परंपरा सगळ्या जगाक पावोवपाक आमकां हो चान्स मेळटा, हेंच मोठें.
खूब बरें दिसलें आयकून की तुमी कला, गोंयची लोककला ह्या इफीन तुमकां चान्स मेळ्ळो. म्हाका सांग, ही पयलीच फावट तुमची इफीन हांगा लोककला सादर करपाची?
ना, हेजे पयलीं परफॉर्म केलां. हे आर्ट एंड कल्चराच्या अंडर आमी खूब वेळा परफॉर्म केलां, पूण अशें ह्या वाठारान आयनॉक्सान हरशीं आमी थंय हांगा परफॉर्म करताले. आयनॉक्सान व्हडले लोकांच्या हुजीर आमी फर्स्ट टायम परफॉर्म करता.
आनी तुमी हे कलाकार रायट, तुमी तुमच्या गांवांत सुद्दां सांग्या गांवांतल्यान तुमी आयला आनी दूरदर्शना तर्फे तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार इफीत आनी खूब बरें दिसलें. आनी तुमी आमची गोंयची लोककला पुराय जगार आतां पावयतले. म्हाका सांग, तूं एक कलाकार आहे, तूं कसो शिकलो हे करपाक, हो नाच करपाक?
आमी तेंच्यांनी तो युट्यूबार तेंच्यांनी पोस्ट केल्लो, मागीर तेंचे ते स्टेप पळोवन आमी शिकले तेंगेले युट्यूबा वयले.
आनी हेच्या उपरांत म्हणजे कितें तरी दुसरें काम तुमी करता काय ते शिवाय हीच कला तुमी फुडें व्हरता?
ना, तशें आमी सायड बाय सायड आमची वर्क बी करता आनी हो आमचो डान्स एक हॉबी प्लस हो आवड बी आमचो. सो आमी ताका फॉलो करपा लागला म्हणून हो कल्चर आनी भुरगे येता ते भुरग्यां बी दाखोवपा लागला की हो डान्स अशें करत रावचें म्हणून.
गोंयचे तर्फे लोककला जेन्ना आमी भायर पर्यंत हांगा इफी तर्फे पावता तेन्ना तूं कितें मॅसेज दिवंक सोदता?
की आतां अशी लायक भारताचें अशें परसेप्शन आसा की गोवा म्हणल्यार बिचीस आनी अशें तशेंच म्हणल्यार एक पर्यटन स्थळ अशें आसा. सो आतां आमी इफी ह्या एक प्लॅटफॉर्मा तर्फे दाखोवपाक शकता की गोंयान भितर खुबशी अशी कला आसा, कल्चर आसा जे आजुनूय पूर्ण भारताय पावल ना आनी आमी ती पावोवपाची एक
प्रयत्न करता. देव बरें करूं तुमच्या सगळ्या टिमीक आनी ऑल द बेस्ट आनी अशेंच मुखार फुडें सरत रावा.
So I got with me once again well-known film critic and a friend as well, Sachin Chate. Sachin, nice to have you once again.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about the country in focus this year, which is France, and they have a great film culture, and being at IFFI is a matter of pride for all of us as well. So would you say très bien to the French?
Absolutely. The thing about France being the country focus, they anyway make so many films and so many good films. They are good at quality as well as quantity that it's hard to tell. I mean, even next year I'm sure we will have many French films, or even in the past we've had many French films. So France is by default the country focus every year,
Yes.
more or less. And over the period of time they've had such great filmmakers, and they've kind of paved the way for great cinema right from the 40s, 50s when they made those great noir thrillers. I'll give you an example, a film called IFFI. It's about a heist where four men decide, okay, we are going to rob this jewelry store, and that's one last time we're going to do it. Now, right from Ocean's 11 to Mission Impossible to The Usual Suspects to Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, they all pay a homage to IFFI in one way or the other. So that's the kind of impact that French cinema has had. Even in fact, Annie Hall has a scene where IFFI is playing in the theatre. So even somebody like Woody Allen, who's not known for his crime thrillers or anything, but even he has paid a homage to IFFI. So over a period of time, they have made such great films in different genres also. So I would say that, and the amount of filmmakers, there's René Clement, there is Jean Renoir, there is Jean-Pierre Melville, there are so many of them. Jules Dassin, the man who directed IFFI, Claude Chabrol, known for his crime thrillers again. He made about 70-80 films, and all of them were kind of murder mysteries in one way or the other, like a Agatha Christie novel. So the legacy of French cinema is pretty much unbeatable. I'm sure a lot of people will think that Italian cinema also comes close, but I think personally French cinema is the thing.
So what would you say about the films from France being screened at the 53rd IFFI?
So there is country focus as well, and so there are a bunch of films which have come in by default. Like Mia Hansen-Love, she makes her films in French language, and she's been very prolific lately. Last year she made a film in English, incidentally, called Bergman Island. This year she has a film called One Fine Morning, which has been shown. And I guess to a large degree you can rely on French films that they will deliver the goods.
Many of the viewers already know Sachin Chate, but he being associated with so many film festivals around the country, he goes there as a film critic as well as a passionate person in love with films. So Sachin, tell us about your journey since 2004. If you take the fact that you've been watching around 30 films or 35 films at every festival, you must have crossed the 700 mark, so that's quite a record.
That's quite a lot of films, even I didn't realize that. But yeah, it's fun. Again, as I say, that it's a very educative experience to watch these films from different parts of the world. And yeah, when it started in 2004, we were all very excited because at that point it was decided that Goa is going to be the permanent venue. And the excitement still lasts today. Of course, with a lot of things we are much more easier now and comfortable. But the excitement is still what it was about 17, 18, 19 years ago. And every year has something different to offer. Earlier we used to have Kala Academy also, where you could watch film with 900, 800 people. They've also had something like midnight screenings. I remember there is this Iranian film called Taxi. I saw it in the afternoon at around 1 o'clock. It's made by Jafar Panahi. And all he does is he picks up passengers. He's kept a camera on the dashboard. In the whole movie, the camera never leaves the dashboard. Every single shot in that 90-minute film is from that dashboard camera. Wow. And there are only conversations with his passengers. Now, normally you might wonder, okay, what is so great about this movie? It must be a very boring film. That, man picking up passengers, camera, dashboard, and having conversations. No action, no fight, no romance, no comedy, nothing. How can it be a great film? Well, let me say that, let me tell you all that I saw the film at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and in the evening they announced that there's going to be a midnight screening at Kala Academy. So I went again at 12 o'clock at night. So within a span of say 10 or 12 hours, I saw the film twice. So, but that's the power of cinema again, and the power of storytelling. As I said, we are used to watching certain Hollywood or Bollywood films, which only go within a certain range, but when you watch world cinema, it just opens your minds to so many possibilities of how cinema can be made.
Exactly. So to latch on to what Sachin just said, it's not only the films that have a story to tell, but most importantly, how you tell a story, that's what matters, right Sachin?
Indeed, absolutely.
So Sachin Chate will be back tomorrow as well. Right now, I'm signing off from What's Worth Watching with opportunity to meet, to greet and to speak to award-winning directors. Shyam Gaonkar met two of them.
53व्या आंतरराष्ट्रीय फिल्म महोत्सवात काल रेखा हा चित्रपट पाहण्याचा योग आला आणि खरंच एक उत्कृष्ट चित्रपट पाहण्याचा योग आल्यामुळे मला खूपच अभिमान वाटतोय कारण हे चित्रपट ज्या विषयावर ठेवण्यात आला आहे तो विषय एकदम साधा आणि सोपा आहे. एखादा सरळ साधा विषय किती गहन असू शकतो हे आपण ज्यावेळी रेखा हा चित्रपट पाहिला की आपल्या लक्षात येईल. मित्रांनो, रेखा हा चित्रपट जरी वेगवेगळ्या बाजाचा असला तरी ह्या चित्रपटात अनेक चांगले उपक्रम, अनेक चांगले विषय लोकांपर्यंत पोहोचवण्याचा हा एक प्रयत्न झालेला आहे आणि त्या चित्रपटाचे दिग्दर्शक शेखर बाबू आमच्यासोबत आहे. आम्ही त्यांच्याकडे जाणून घेऊया हे चित्रपट संदर्भात थोडीशी अधिक माहिती. सर नमस्कार.
नमस्कार, मी शेखर बापू रणखांबे.
शेखर साहेब, एक चांगला उत्कृष्ट चित्रपट, हा विषय इतका साधा आहे पण हा विषयाची कल्पना तुमच्या मनात कशी काय आली?
रस्त्यावर राहणारी जी लोक आहेत ना त्यांना आपण इग्नोर करतो, बघत नाही, गाडीतनं जाताना काचावर करतो आणि मला ते इग्नोर करता आलं नाही आणि मला वाटलं की ह्याच्यावरती आपण विचार करावा, हे असं काय आहे. आणि मग त्याचा रिसर्च केल्यानंतर माझ्या लक्षात जे काय वास्तव आलं ते खूप भयानक होतं. मला खूप हार्ट, आपण म्हणतो ना की त्रास देणारं होतं की अरे हे असं सगळं आहे आणि ते खूप त्रासदायक होतं आणि ते म्हटलं की आता लोकांना कळायला पाहिजे आणि मग ते लिहिलं आणि रेखा केली आणि आता इफीत आहे. तर खूप आनंद आहे.
रेखाचा विषय तसा एकदम साधा आहे पण हा विषय सर्वांच्या डोक्यात येणारा नाही. पण हा विषय ज्यावेळी तुम्हाला सुचला, तुमच्या मनात आला, त्यावेळी तुम्ही कोणाकडे चौकशी केली बाबा हा विषयावर चित्रपट होऊ शकतो का, की तुम्ही ठरवलं की बाबा चांगला उत्कृष्ट चित्रपट होऊ शकतो? मत काय?
मी सर 2006पासून नाटक एकांकिका करतोय आणि फिल्मना असिस्ट करतोय आणि मी काही शॉर्ट फिल्म्स केलेले आहेत. मी ह्या इंटरनॅशनल फेस्टिवल्स बघत असतो आणि त्यामुळं कुठलाही विषय असला तर मग ती मांडायचा कसा, ते लोकांना अपील कसा होईल हे परत लेखक आणि दिग्दर्शकाच्या आहे की त्याचा क्राफ्ट काय आहे त्याच्यावरती ते होतं आणि त्यामुळं कुठलाही विषय असेल तर तो आपण फिल्म करू शकतो, फक्त ती तेवढी पोचू शकते का हा परत दुसरा मुद्दा त्याच्यात येईल. रेखा केल्यानंतर किंवा करायचं ज्यावेळी ठरलं त्यावेळेला मला माहीत होतं की हे काहीतरी चांगलं होईल आणि हा विषय लोकांना वाटेल की अरे हे आपण बघितलंच नाही, हे म्हणजे ही दृष्टी आपल्याकडं का नाही आहे असं वाटेल आणि ते मला होतं थोडं की हे चांगलं काहीतरी होईल.
हिंदी चित्रपटसृष्टी आपण ज्यावेळी बघतो, मराठी चित्रपटसृष्टी ज्यावेळी आपण बघतो त्यावेळी ग्लॅमर हा एक विषय असतो पण तुमच्या चित्रपटात अजिबात ग्लॅमर नाही. एकदम साधी माणसं, एकदम जे बघायला सुद्धा चित्रपट आपलाच वाटतोय. त्याचं रहस्य काय?
फिल्मची त्या गरजच होती. एक तर रॉ फिल्म आहे, खरी फिल्म आहे, खरा विषय आहे आणि त्याची गरज तशी होती आणि त्यामुळं मग त्या गरजेनुसार ट्रीटमेंट आली आणि ट्रीटमेंटनुसार मग परत ती सगळी त्याच्यातली काम करणारी मंडळ आहे, म्हणजे सगळे नॉन ॲक्टर आहेत. मग त्यांना आम्ही शोधलं आणि शोधून त्यांच्याबरोबर 2-1 महिन्याचं वर्कशॉप केलं आणि मग त्यांच्याकडनं कामं करून घेतली आणि फिल्म आता लोकांना आवडते, त्यांची कामं आवडत आहेत.
शेवटचा प्रश्न, काय संदेश द्यायचा आहे तुम्हाला या चित्रपटाच्या माध्यमातून? लोकांपर्यंत काय संदेश द्यायचा आहे?
फिल्म सगळी जर बघितली तर स्वच्छतेसंदर्भात बोलते, मग त्याच्यात लेयर्स आहेत. स्वच्छ भारत अभियानाचा पण लेयर आहे, स्त्रियांकडे बघण्याचा जो दृष्टिकोन आहे तो स्वच्छ ठेवावा त्याचा एक लेयर आहे, किंवा शरीर स्वच्छ असलं पाहिजे त्या संदर्भातला पण एक लेयर आहे. तर साधारण स्वच्छतेसंदर्भात फिल्म बोलते आणि तो संदेश लोकांनी घ्यावा असं मला वाटतं.
खरंच फार सुंदर चित्रपट बघायला मिळाला. खूप खूप तुमचं अभिनंदन आणि खूप खूप धन्यवाद.
थँक्यू सर, थँक्यू, धन्यवाद.
तर मित्रांनो, हे होते शेखर रणखांबे जे रेखा हे उत्कृष्ट असा चित्रपट त्यांनी बनवलेला आहे. त्यांना खूप खूप शुभेच्छा. धन्यवाद. नमस्कार. शेर शिवराज ह्या चित्रपटाचा मला आज खास आवर्जून उल्लेख करावा लागेल कारण हा चित्रपट खरंच सर्वांग सुंदर असा चित्रपट आहे आणि ह्या शेर शिवराज चित्रपटाविषयी बोलताना चित्रपटाचे दिग्दर्शक श्री दिग्पाल लांजेकर म्हणाले, जेव्हा विजापूरच्या आदिलशाही राजकर्त्यांनी अफझल खानाला 10,000 सैनिकासह शिवाजी महाराजांना मारण्यासाठी पाठवले तेव्हा मराठा लोकांमध्ये भीतीची लाट पसरली. पण शिवाजी महाराज स्वतः बेफिकीर आहेत. अफझल खान प्रतापगडच्या दिशेने कूच करत मंदिरे नष्ट करतो, लुटालूट करतो, पण शिवाजी महाराज आपल्या लोकांना शांत राहण्यास सांगतात. तो आपल्या सेनापतींना एकत्र करतो, दीर्घ आणि कठोर योजना आखतो. अशा विषयावर शेर शिवराज हा चित्रपट आहे.
I tried to inspire them to go to the history and read and take attributes and many qualities of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, which will help them to fight in such a way to the challenges of the world. Like how in COVID situations, I have my one song in my film Fateh Shikas, which is another film of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. That song is basically a verse of Saint Tukaram, Saint Tukaram Maharaj. So many doctors, many policemen send me the message that we are working in the Maharashtra. We are working and we can work. We are able to work with this verse only in this difficult time. So I think this is an example how we can inspire the people.
मित्रांनो, खरंच शेर शिवराज हा चित्रपट आपण सर्वांनी जरूर एकदा पाहावं. परत एकदा आपली भेट नक्कीच होईल. तोवर नमस्कार, धन्यवाद.
Before the curtains come down on this edition, here is Bambino Dias.
We are in conversation with Christina Grosha, who has produced this very spectacular film, Ordinary Failures. Could you just walk us through your film and what kind of motivated you?
Well, my previous film was a comedy drama about this difficulties of growing up and being 30 and not really knowing what to do with yourself. It's something very self-ironical. And for a second film, I wanted to do something more serious, just to try my hand at something else and feel it. So Ordinary Failures is a film that follows 3 different women in one day in a city where something very strange is happening, a natural phenomenon with some explosions happening. So we follow them through this day.
And was it difficult to get from comedy into something a little serious?
Not at all, as long as you're connected to the topic. I don't think it's difficult. There are, of course, many problems or many difficulties or many challenges along the way, but I worked on this, so I'm a director. I developed this together with writer Klara Vlasakova. It's produced by Banek Novak, and it's been a very international collaboration because it's a Czech film with Hungarian, Italian, Slovak co-production. And it's the first film that I direct, which is not in my native language. So I'm Romanian-Hungarian, and it's directed, and the actors speak Czech. So I learned for a year Czech language for this.
Well, you just answered the question I was about to ask you about the language. But okay, coming to IFFI, your first time in India at the film festival, how has been the reaction and what has been like the feedback that you've received?
It's been amazing. People here are so nice and kind. The nature is awesome. But I was so surprised to see that people are so interactive. So of course the screening was nice, but then we had the meeting with the audience, which I always enjoy. But so many people of all ages spoke to us about the film, and especially older people, 60, 70 plus. People 60, 70 plus sometimes don't even go to the cinema in my country. They're somehow reluctant to go out often. So I was so pleasantly surprised by the interaction. Because, yeah, in Czech Republic, mostly it's people 30 to 40 who we thought we're speaking to, and here the audience seems to be broader. So I'm
The sun having set in the capital city of Panjim, it brings us to the end of yet another edition of Glitz and Glamour at IFFI 53. I'm Savio de Noronha signing off right here in Panjim with an adios and goodbye.